So, ladies and gentlemen, we start what I think is destined to be a very exciting day today with our first panel, which examines the state of the regional access sector in 2023 and indeed well beyond. Collectively, our panelists will discuss the major challenges confronting the sector. Now, in such a rapidly evolving and rapidly changing market, we need to close the safety and skills gap. This is an absolute priority. And bear in mind, ladies and gentlemen, this is also the year of sustainability. And we'll find out how the sector can help the UAE achieve its green ambitions, crucially important, while embracing exciting new tech to make our crews safer and more efficient. So accordingly, I'd like to welcome the following key panelists to come and join Stephen on stage. Firstly, Mohammed Lakis, Head of Sales for Middle East and Africa, JLG Industries. Anthony Chalisari, Regional Sales Manager, Middle East and Africa, LGMG, Lingong Heavy Machinery, PVT. Rob Cavalieri, Regional Training, Safety and Compliance Manager, Manlift Middle East. And then Tim Whiteman, Global Branding Director, Sinoboom. My goodness, we've got a panel of heavyweights. Thank you very much indeed. Stephen, best of luck with the moderator. What a panel you have there.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me this morning. Apologies for us running a little bit late. I think probably for the benefit of our audiences, I'll just run through each of you individually, just get you to introduce yourselves properly to the audience, tell us a little bit about what you do and about the companies you represent. So, Tim, if I can start with you.
Sure. My name's Tim Whiteman. I'm the Global Branding Director of Sinoboom, which is celebrating its 15th birthday this month.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I've been tasked with setting up Sinoboom's subsidiary in Europe 2.5 years ago. And I know a lot of people in the room from my previous career as CEO of the International Powered Access Federation. It's great to meet everybody again, also people on the panel.
Good. Rob?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Rob Cavalieri. I'm the Regional Training, Safety and Compliance Manager for Manlift Middle East. I've been in the region for approximately 13 years and in access for nearly 40 years now.
Does it feel like 40 years?
No, I'm still enjoying it. Which is a good thing to be able to say, I think.
Look at that smile.
Yeah, still enjoying it.
Yeah.
So we're regional with Manlift, but also in 16 countries with the group. So yeah, and I work across the region.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rob.
Hey, morning. My name is Anthony. I work as a regional sales manager for LGMG. It's a part of Lingong Machinery from China, and I look after Middle East and Africa. So I joined recently, just 5 months to this company, and we are also a new entrant to the market here. So we are just technically 5 months old here. And the company back in China, Lingong Group, is a 50-year-old company, but we started making access equipment, say in 2015. So we are quite young comparing
That's
other brands.
very recent, isn't it?
Yeah, we're quite young, but we managed to grow quite exponentially, and we are probably the 6th or 7th largest manufacturer of access equipment globally. So we are introducing these products now in this region, and yeah, we'll see how we grow. Thank you.
Thank you. Mohammed?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Mohammed Lakis. I represent JLG Industries today, and I'm the head of sales for the Middle East and Africa. We look from our Dubai office after our distributors and key accounts in the region. GLG is part of Oshkosh Corporation, and we are the world-leading manufacturer of access equipment.
So I'm going to start with you, if you don't mind, Mohammed. You
Yeah.
just said you're the world leaders. What can you say, if we look at the global market now, what are we looking at in terms of the major trends sort of globally? We'll look more in detail in terms of regionally, but what would you say are the major trends globally that we should be looking out for at the moment?
So if we look at 2022 and 2023, definitely there was a lot of challenges last year. And one of the main challenges was the supply chain, which I would believe that many OEMs have suffered from different industries also from these challenges. Unfortunately, that the supply chain is still existing to our time, and this is hitting many industries. Also, other obvious thing that post-COVID we have seen a proper market recovery in different industries, and one of them is the access, which was make everyone busy, I would say, in 2022, and this has resulted in a very good sales and very limited availability currently. We would see many OEMs, they are almost sold out for 2023, and this is also another challenge for end users and also for rental companies.
Of course, it's a challenge for everybody. I mean, how do we solve this problem? I mean, maybe I should ask an earlier question, which is, what sort of turnaround times would you say the industry is looking at now in terms of, you know, when an end user or a buyer or leaser, whatever, how long does it take to get a machine now?
That's actually a very good question, and we have seen a lot of changes due to these challenges. The first one is that whoever has machines now or depreciated for a certain time, very rarely to see someone looking to defleet these machines or to sell it out. So they are trying to keep their asset because of this limited availability. The other thing that we are almost communicating every day now due to the challenges of the availability is that mainly end users and rental companies, they should have the proper budgeting, okay? So now we are still in the first quarter of 2023, but we always advise our partner that they need to consider their capex of 2024 from nowadays in order to tackle this solution. And also I would believe that the OEMs in the market, they are trying to support their premium industries or premium clients instead of looking deeply into new markets, I would say.
I mean, we've moved into the regional. I don't know if any of you gentlemen have any comment on this in terms of what's happening regionally. But it is an issue, isn't it, in terms of the fact that if you can't get the machines and you've suddenly seen like a peak in your requests for business, it's quite a big challenge on the end user front. I don't know if this is something you're experiencing. Rob, obviously you're on the call face often.
I think if you look on the positive side for rental company, from a rental company perspective, it's actually forced rental companies to be more efficient at what they do. So we work very hard on our efficiency, and from off-rent back onto the ready line, we're always looking at ways that we can do better, take out waste and improve efficiency. So you've got to do more with less, basically. And that means you have to be able to get safe, reliable, good-looking equipment back onto the ready line for the customers in a shorter time frame without compromising those three cores. So I think being more efficient and more effective with what you have is one of the outcomes of what we've just been talking about.
I mean, the other thing that strikes me is that surely this is if you're not doing it already, but this is a case for making sure you're doing the very best to make sure your machines are serviced and maintained absolutely in the way that they should be. I mean, is this something that there is a habit of doing that in the market? Are the buyers and people that say rents off you, are they looking after their machines properly to keep them going for as long as possible? If they can't get new machines, they might as well keep the ones they have working.
So there is, if I can,
please.
There is some evidence of that people are extending the life of equipment, the average age perhaps getting a little bit older. Coming back to the supply chain issues that were mentioned, it's affected different OEMs in different ways. We, as a relatively new entrant to the market, have experienced difficulty of consistency sometimes with the supply chain, but I'm happy to say that we are able to supply equipment. We haven't been hit in the same way as some have. What we do see as well, coming back to the point you made about CapEx, is we see that quite a lot of the customers who might previously have made a one-year CapEx plan are now splitting it perhaps into 3 segments. So they know how much they're budgeting for in the next year, but rather than spending 80% of it by May or whatever their schedule is, they are splitting it
Yeah.
and waiting to see how the market develops. And we saw that at the start of
Yeah.
the pandemic as well.
Yeah.
People wanted to be a bit more
I
flexible.
mean, I think people get cautious, don't they?
Exactly.
We've experienced a few bumps on the road over the last couple of years. So actually, I think it's natural for the market to be slightly cautious, even if it's seeing demand at the moment. I don't know if any of the rest of the members of the panel have got any comment on that, whether or not they're seeing people being a little bit trepidatious, cautious.
Yeah, it is, as Tim said, it's not just about the efficiency of the supply chain. The thing is, machines are available with someone or the other. The thing is, many companies here, or the main players, like I said, the capex planning, even if they want to do, they are not able to do that because the market is changing so dynamically. Now, past 2 years, if you see, the entire focus of Middle East is shifting to Saudi. And when you go to Saudi, there are a lot of hurdles to overcome to get machines into that country. So all these things combined, so you just cannot blame the customers or the rental companies of not planning capex on time, because they cannot because of these issues. And supply chain side, I think it's improving now. Earlier we had a concern, but we all, like at least I know about our company, we are still running at, let's say, 80% of our installed capacity. So delivering machines is not a big deal. The thing is, getting orders or probably establishing a new brand can be an issue, but we don't right now face any problems in supply chain.
I mean, Rob, your inventories themselves, are you getting through all your? Have you got like a zero inventory, or are you seeing kind of certain pockets of demand that means that some machines are in high demand and others aren't?
Utilisation is back up where we'd like it to be, or it's getting closer to that, And so when you talk mid-70s as far as that's concerned. We'd like to be higher still, but that's not bad at all. So we're happy with that. But getting back to supply chain, we need to remember also for a rental organisation, it's not just the equipment, it's the parts that we need to service the existing equipment. And there was a double whammy there because, if you can't get kit at that stage, you still need the parts to service the existing equipment. And that also took a hit, and we had to work through that as well. So that's what I would say.
I mean, generally speaking, are you feeling more positive now than? I mean, you must be feeling more positive now than, say, 2 years ago, the height of COVID. The problems you're talking about are problems, but they are good problems, if you know what I mean. It's better to actually have the demand. And obviously, from a business point of view, it is frustrating, but surely it's better to actually see this positivity in the market.
Actually, with every challenge, there is an opportunity. Okay, so when it comes to GLG, since we are, as I mentioned, almost sold out for 2023, this is an opportunity where we can look more into the support we provide in terms of after sales and customer service to our end users and even to our rental companies. And with this, GLG, they are developing and always looking into new ways on how we can support our customers to look in a better way for their machines, especially that, as I mentioned, the life of the machine should be extended now, and this is where everyone.
What is a good lifespan for a machine?
This is different from an OEM to others, and different from type of equipment to others. So the life of a boom lift, for example, is much higher than a scissor lift, for example. Okay. Now the average depreciation I would see here in rental companies, where the highest demand for an OEM in the access goes to rental companies, is around 8 to 10 years, but definitely our machines live longer than that, and we have seen a proper retained value for our machines in the market.
They keep the value.
Just if I can add to that, of course, it's exactly right what you say, but it's also a function of the financial programs and plans of the rental company, of the owner.
True,
because it's all connected to the total cost of ownership, and we know that this is a boom market, this area. There's a much higher proportion of booms which are higher value, more long-lasting than scissor lifts. But at the same time, it comes down to the financial structure of the company. There are some companies I speak to who say, once the machine is 5 years old, we sell it and replace it. And there are others who will say, yeah, we've got machines that are 12 years old, they're still working fine, they're safe, we keep using them.
So it comes down to the individual business, how they,
absolutely,
their own
model.
Yeah.
And also it's important to consider that in some applications, when we come, for example, the oil and gas, there is some restriction on the age where we've seen 5 years is the average usage of the machine, but then the same machine can for sure enter to utilize in a different application, like construction or events, for example.
I see some of those restrictions that you mention as a rental organisation often, and sometimes or quite often I must say that they're not justified or not based on facts.
What, they're too strict, or they're just not the
you
specification isn't
why?
right?
The standard answer we want the safer machines, but it's not, you can have a 2-year-old machine which is unsafe. It depends on how it's managed and maintained. But, getting back to defleet, if we have a defleet program for 5 to 8 years, that can be quite typical. But if you talk about I think manufacturers struggle with giving a life cycle of a machine, to be honest with you. But it's also dependent on some idiosyncrasies of the area we're in. Like, we work in construction still mainly where we are in the region. So that's harder on the equipment. And if you look at the hours that a Middle East MUP puts on its hour meter compared to Europe, for example, it's much higher. So the machines are working harder generally, and that means you have to invest more, not just in budget for your new equipment, but your maintenance and your training is critical to manage the equipment.
And does that happen? Are we seeing enough investment in those areas, do you think, in the market?
I think always training and related is the poor cousin to getting the price down on what you want to buy, but it's still being included in the conversation when you're looking at buying equipment, so that's important.
And it's interesting because obviously, very briefly, I heard Saudi Arabia was mentioned there. I mean, I think throughout my career in this region, we've focused primarily on UAE, but I think it's impossible now to ignore the Saudi market. Is this a market you're excited by? I mean, are there going to be challenges in terms of mobilization, scale, inventory management? I mean, what should we be thinking when we think about the Saudi market? Should we be excited, or should we be slightly nervous?
Yeah, definitely. The Saudi market is massive. I used to work actually in Saudi when I moved in 2012, and I can tell you the Saudi market is massive as the country size is massive. And now with the new vision of the country to open up to different economies and to diversify far from the oil and gas, we see there is a lot of mega projects on the map, and we see that the potential is not only anymore in the oil and gas, but also is coming to the construction, to the tourism, and also to the events. And with this a change in the habits and the applications that we can see far from the oil and gas, we have seen also a large forecast in the country. And also we are seeing recently a different demand for different type of machines, okay?
Well, that's interesting.
Which is really interesting to see.
So what sort of machines do you think we'll see be popular in the Saudi market?
Yeah, definitely.
Or are seeing, should I say?
So far from the basic usage of our machines in terms of diesel machines, there is a vision for many projects in the country to be more sustainable and to decrease the carbon footprint, where we can see, for example, in NEOM. So I'm quite...
I mean, it's an interesting... Sorry to stop you there, because this is something that we cover quite often. And we're never too sure about whether or not these are, looks good on paper or words. I mean, how serious do you think the Saudi market is about making sure that they are sustainable or are not cutting corners when it comes to actually trying to be as clean and green as possible?
Look, it's definitely not an easy vision, okay? There is a lot of challenges here, and I know there is a lot of people have doubts about it.
Yeah.
But in January, together with my boss Ian, we went to Saudi in January, and we went to NEOM. And it's happening.
Yeah. What's it like? Because you hear a lot about NEOM, but we're still using, there's a colleague of mine here, whenever we do a picture on a website, it's always like, it looks like something from a sci-fi novel.
Look, NEOM is...
I'm guessing it doesn't look like that now.
No, it's massive. And look, NEOM is not far from some new touristic in Al Ula, for example. So I would really suggest everyone to pay a visit there for tourism and at the same time to visit NEOM. We are very glad to be part of NEOM, and we're looking forward for more of such projects in the kingdom.
Yeah, I mean, how do you prepare for something like that? I mean, obviously you're having to shift the way that where your inventory is. Presumably, you're having to. Do you ship directly into Saudi, or do you come via Dubai? How does that?
No,
how does that work?
we ship direct actually to Saudi. We have a strong partner there, our dealer, and also we have strong key accounts. And mainly for GIG, we have various facilities, manufacturing facilities all over the world. And we mainly, we ship direct there.
I mean, presumably the Saudi market is so big, there's opportunities for everyone. I don't know if that's something.
Saudi, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, please, carry on.
And it's important to add, of course, that there are specific regulations, specific standards. I'm sure many of us have heard the word SABRE. We all have to find ways to make
for the benefit of our audience who may not know what SABRE means.
These are the new regulations that KSA have introduced. All equipment, all MEWPs that are being imported to Saudi have to comply with the new regulations. Generally speaking, if the equipment applies with the European or US regulations, it's almost compliant, but you've got to go through the systems to get the certificate of compliance. So we all have to do that. It's an enormous market.
Is that a long process?
Yeah.
It's always a long process.
But
though,
again, like Howard said, we also have a dealer in Saudi who's working with us on that. And going back to the question about is it lip service or not? What I see personally is that wherever you look in the world, like in Europe, people started saying, "Oh, it's lip service. The governments are just talking about clean energy, and they're never." I
mean, they're very cynical. I mean, I don't share that cynicism, but when you go into Europe, you hear that
it's happening. I wouldn't buy a diesel car now, a new car, because the residual value is just going to go like that in Europe. And you can apply the same models to our industry. And originally, people in Europe said, "Oh, they'll never phase out the car. Germans love their diesel. They're not going to stop driving diesel cars." It's happening, guys. Yeah. There are legal dates when they can't sell diesel cars anymore. And a lot of these things also, if I look in China, where our head office is based, people start off talking about, "Oh, we have to reduce the number of fatalities in our industry." And everybody says, "Oh, it's lip service." But then the legislation comes in afterwards. The companies who are investing think, well, it's better that we comply with the policy because we don't know how strict it's going to be. So I'm sure it's going to happen.
Anthony, I see you nodding there.
Saudi, it's not just a lip service because there are few things connected with it. If you remember the FIFA World Cup happening in Qatar, I'm sure everyone remembers the kind of propaganda went out in the global media about all negative things about this place. So I'm sure Saudi government, they are very determined. And the Saudi, if you see in last 5-6 years, there has been a huge transformation in their vision, in their attitude and everything. It's not that old Saudi anymore. Maybe 5 years ago, Saudi was probably in 70s. And now they are aiming to 2030 straight away. So there has been some changes, like as Tim said, the SABRE. SABRE was introduced in 2019. There was massive problems with that. Not only for machines, even for spare parts, you need to register. And now on top of SABRE, there is a new thing called GEAM, the new regulation for machines. So, but all these things will create some problems for the time being, because they are trying to make that country, the systems, at par with other.
How close are they to what we have in UAE? Are they often actually? Saudi follows like the existing kind of legislation, or is it different? Is it specific for the Saudi market? I see, Rob, you can see.
I think UAE was setting trends earlier, others follow, but I think soon, with the current government's determination in Saudi, probably there'll be this trend.
There's a lot to build so quickly as well.
I think they'll accelerate their catch up by
Yeah.
throwing resources at it, right? But getting back to sustainability just quickly, because I think the way you can test how serious, and it's not lip service, a country is about that particular topic is what are they investing, for example, is biodiesel supported, and what's the infrastructure investment, for wind and solar, and is the infrastructure being developed, and then you can even focus in, if you want to know, that how serious they are on the 17 UN sustainability goals, and which ones of those are they performing and not performing, and then you have a real understanding about where that country is as far as its position.
I was at an event last year that we run on mobility. And we had some guys there from the Red Sea project, and they were really frustrated because they've got some very high sustainability targets they need to achieve on this project. It's a very important project for the Saudi market, and they cannot get international support. They're asking all these OEMs from the truck and car side and the automotive side to get support, and they can't do it. It's just not enough capability there. So I'm hoping the access and handling sector is going to be a bit more helpful.
So there is a real important point there, that once these targets are out there, we as OEMs strive to meet them because it gives us a market advantage. And the same thing is applicable across all industries. Yesterday, I booked a driver with a car for the day for all the meetings we had, and he showed up in a Tesla. So I said, what's it like to have an electric car here in this temperature? Are the batteries okay? He said, it's fantastic. I've had it for a year, 0 maintenance and 0 fuel costs, because charging is free in the UAE at the moment for electric cars. So he's becoming environmental through market pressure because he sees an advantage.
Yeah. We'll come to... There's an issue there in terms of electric cars. We'll come to electric. Of course. We're going to talk about this later. It's a good setup. But are there... we've talked a bit about the Saudi market. Are there other markets in the Middle East we should be looking at for growth?
Actually, in the emerging markets, there is always, I would say, potential. It varies from industry to industry. So if we want to consider other markets far from the GCC, we can see potential in the African region, where I would say mining is a number one sector with demand for decent amount of machines. Also in the access, so that really help. True, there is no proper regulation for working at height, maybe in most of the African countries. But when we speak about mining and the oil and gas, these sectors, there is a must to use at a certain point the access. Also, the other potential in Africa, that the construction also segment is also increasing with a lot of development in the infrastructure. And some other projects that they are on the map.
In these other markets, maybe we could apply that to here, but generally speaking, do people understand what the capability of the machines that we're talking about here are capable of? Obviously, in some markets, there's been a reluctance. They rely on big, heavy machinery, where actually something smaller, something more nimble. How well educated is the market in these emerging markets, but certainly generally speaking in the region, in terms of knowing the sorts of capability of the machines that we have in the access and handling sector? Rob, I can see you.
There's no free ride as far as I'm concerned there. It's a combination of bringing the market awareness to the benefits of the efficiency gains and the safety gains of mobile elevating work platforms, and relying on a symbiosis between IPAF, for example, in the countries, and the government organisations, working with, for example, the Quality Council here in Abu Dhabi, so on and so forth. And I think it's a team effort, and then the awareness grows. But in Saudi, there's definitely a gap from here in that awareness, certainly in the safe use side of things.
It's interesting actually. Thank you. It's interesting actually, because Jason Woods was due to be speaking this week, but he's in Saudi Arabia, and obviously he's quite a well-known personality in terms of IPAF, very important. And that just indicates to me, when we had a very short chat, but it just indicates for me, my conversation with him, just how important now the Saudi market is, but that
you had
safety training gap.
A short chat with Jason?
I had a shortish chat. I think you had a flight to get. That was a good thing. Sorry, Jason. But
great guy, by the way. Nothing negative.
we've only got a couple of minutes left yet, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the year of sustainability. This is something we'll come back to sort of as we go on through the day. But obviously the UAE has made a statement about turning this 2023 into the year of sustainability. I don't know sort of what, I guess the question to the panel really is that what can we do as an industry to make sure that when we talk about the concept of sustainability that we can deliver on that? I don't know if anyone wants to chip in.
Just as a quick comment here is that our industry can really support the year of sustainability in the UAE with various products in the electrification sector where for us, for example, in GLG, we have now booms that completely work on lithium batteries. They have the same output as the diesel machines. We also introduced an all-electric scissor lift with zero hydraulics. So we have the product, and as the gentleman mentioned, the contractors or the end users, they should be incentivized to use these machines, okay? So the products are available. We just need, as it happened, I think, a couple of years back, where the Dubai municipality, they changed their working at height rules. And this is where the government can also support by giving incentives for end users or contractors to use more sustainable products.
Anthony, I'll work my way around this way. So Anthony,
same. It goes the same way. Like Saudi, as I said, as I was about to say about NEOM, they will have all these sustainability goals, and of course others also will have. And we have, like I said, we have a full range of electric machines, and they are going to stay. Because electric machines are not just a motor replacing an engine. They are totally redesigned. It's not just a machine where you replace certain parts. So even in the research in that side also is going in a very high level so that we get the maximum out of each kilowatt we store in the battery. So that is going to make the whole thing green. And so it's going to happen. And we also, actually we wanted to even bring a machine here, but we couldn't do because of the logistics issues. So we are also like equipped with all electric equipment, scissors and booms as well. All full range.
And Rob?
I won't talk about the manufacturers because to me that's the easy part. I mean, it's not difficult to put pressure on a manufacturer to see what they're doing in that area, whether it's technology or whatever. And also with the rental organisation, we do various things to incrementally support our sustainability goals. If you look at the gaps in the countries, for example, especially the region we're working in, you'll find that the suppliers and the supplier evaluation is what's most important. We might have 20 or 30 suppliers, and their performance on sustainability is really in its infancy. If you think about the waste and how they manage their business, you know, they either know nothing about it or they're just starting to know a little bit about it. So we have to work with all the suppliers to help improve the sustainability in the country.
I think that's something we'll talk about later in the rental one, but that's a really good point to make. Tim, do you have a
just
comment on the area?
To wrap up, sustainability, of course, is about much more than just environmental emissions. It's about ensuring that an industry or a society can continue to exist. The technology is there. We all have the technology. It's just it's a policy decision to invest in the technology.
I also think that there's an element of sustainability. The definition of sustainability is that we often think about the technological solution, but actually there's the manpower solution. It's making sure people are actually working more efficiently on site. We are just come to the end of our time of our session. I don't know if there's anybody in the audience that might have a question for our panel. I can see a couple of hands. Fantastic, great. Please, again, do ask questions as we go through the day. If I can ask that gentleman there on the third row.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm Mohammed Tawid, the General Manager of United Gulf Axis and Machinery.
Welcome.
Actually, I want to tackle the sustainability part from our perspective as a equipment rental, where Mr. Tim somehow mentioned our worries. As Mr. Lais said, the machines here are expected to live 8 to 10 years. He's asking us to order now so that we deliver in 2024. So I'm making an investment that's supposed to last for me 10 to 12 years. While the dynamic drive tower electrification is way too fast to catch up. So what is the manufacturer role in supporting me if I invest in these machines and after 3, 4 years or 5 years down the line, there is some legislation that does not allow me to use some machines, or even some own customers who want only green energy in their website, and I will end up with a few hundred machines that I don't know what to do with. Because as Mr. Tim said, sustainability is ensuring that we can continue also, not only green energy.
I mean, you're right. There's an element of risk there, isn't there, that you're taking when you're
of course,
this
and
equipment.
this is our worry. We need to know.
I don't know if anybody has a comment on this.
I think that's a good question. As I said, if the legislation changes later, what happens? That's a question, right? Right now, if you go to, let's say, it started in Doha, Qatar. In 2016, the Qatar Gas put a legislation that no machines older than 5 years cannot be used in that thing. So, but did it stop the rental market in Qatar? No. There are applications outside rental, so maybe you have to reposition them. Like same way, if a certain industry after 5 years says we want only electric machines, you will still find application for your diesel or engine-driven machine somewhere. So, and those machines you will end up phasing out slowly. So it's not that happening overnight and you suddenly stop these machines.
But so overnight, I'm talking about 12 years investment for us, as Mr. Lee said. This is not overnight. You are talking about 5 years. I'm not saying it's an imminent problem right now, but it's something we have to think of. Are you telling me tomorrow the manufacturers like Holot, I don't know about JLG, stopped even making diesel scissor lifts, right? So it wouldn't surprise me that at some sites they will stop allowing, or it will be a legislation that diesel scissor lifts are not allowed. Exactly. So what will I do with what I bought 3-4 years ago? And where is the manufacturer role in that? Now, I am not saying it is your problem, but I'm saying it's something we have to discuss together.
I mean,
it's a worry for me when I am planning my capex. It's a serious worry.
Of course it is. And this is the reason why we have these sorts of meetings to discuss these issues. Tim, I can see you there.
I just want to add, I understand your point, Mohammed. It's really a big issue. It's a business risk, unpredictability of governments. And all we can do is try to supply technology that we think is future-proof. But in the end, it's...
And even
we're all struggling with it.
Sorry, even if you look at the behavior of the OEMs in the region here compared to their behavior in Europe or in the US, we are for sure pushing the electrification, but not as strong as we are doing in other regions due to the legislation. So your investment should come aligned with the legislation. Now we start to see, but is it that much wide to heavily invest in a larger fleet? I think that a sort of an analysis, a proper analysis, where this machine, as you mentioned, where this machine should be utilized, okay? So I think there is areas that they are ahead of other markets here in
That's
our
interesting.
region.
I saw...
Important point you made there. So relating to that point, in terms of technology differentiation, what are we seeing happening differently in this part of the world? Like maybe that is the infringement of regulation, and the regulation is trickling in at a different rate to other parts of the world. But in terms of actual use of technology with the equipment itself, what would you see, gentlemen, as the differentiating factors happening within this region, as opposed to, say, the United States or Southeast Asia, for example? What would you say?
I'd like to just quickly say it's the speed of change. If you're in the States or Europe, usually someone who's investing and purchasing assets will have a more longer term or medium term understanding what changes there are going to be in legislation, and they have more time to react to it. I think the region we're in, we still have some volatility, and they can change from one day to, well, it's not that bad, but 1 year to the next, and surprise changes, and it's more difficult to respond to that. But I think the manufacturer is one of the best ways they can support is by their supply of parts for the older kit, for example, retrofitability of machines to meet new demands. Because sometimes even if you look at a construction site, it can vary in the same country hugely about what they consider needs to be on the machine technology-wise compared to another one next door, so like this.
And actually, you remind me of one important technology that we introduced recently, there where you can have a kit to change a diesel 660.
So you can convert it.
To convert it to complete electric operated by lithium batteries.
But I guess there's a cost involved in that.
Definitely.
And that's something that our gentleman down there. I did see some other hands. We've got two people, questions.
I think from my side is I'm going to answer gentleman is a converter okay, that can solve the problem of from JLG point of view. We have a lot of new things coming up, which have a very slight addition on the price, but more is accepting the region. As one of the things which Rob have highlighted is about the standardization. One which point is like changing of this, like C and NC, now reaching to a level that they will be having the same standards of load sensing system, will be having a same criteria in terms. So they are reaching to a same standards. I think that's what we are reaching to a level of safety. And answer to this is like a lot of electronic things which will be added and they will be on the same standards. It can be like, can be suitable. I'm just talking on behalf of JLG, where we are adding a lot of things which maybe in 2006 can be suitable in 2006 model machine, can be added in the same version.
Great.
So that's the answer for the gentleman.
Thank you. Two more. If we come to this gentleman, we need two mics, one here and one there, and then we must move on. If you're taking part in the facilities management session coming up, please go to the back to go and get your mics on as well. Yeah. So, hello. Sorry. Hello.
Nabil Al-Tawil, Mobility Equipment. Thank you. CapEx, investment, as investor, we learn that when supply exceed the demands, the prices goes down. And that's what's happening with us in the United Arab Emirates as rental companies. But I'm surprised from the manufacturer point of view that the manufacturers has been increased and the quality, is there. But I found the other way around. The prices is still increasing, not decreasing or stabilized. So could you please share with us some of your secrets? How do you keep the price up?
You should use this secret. You could charge more. No, but in all seriousness, I guess that is a serious point. Why are we seeing costs rise for at the end?
I think there's
it gotten more expensive?
Two parts of the answer. The first part is quite straightforward. Our costs are increasing. There's no surprise, no secret. It's labor costs, it's the costs of the components, and the regulations, the legislations requiring new technology. And we have to be sustainable. We have, it's not a bad word. We have to make a profit. We're a privately owned company. We have to make a profit. We have to balance our books. The second part, and this is affecting everybody, so you see it with everybody. The second part of the answer is more difficult, which is, and again, I speak from a European perspective with some knowledge of this area, that rental companies have to find a way to pass that on to the customers, which is not easy, but it's about, I think, about product differentiation again. It's about what level of service, what kind of service is being offered by the rental company, so the end user, the contractor, doesn't just choose the cheapest company, and it comes down to things that Rob was saying about reliability, service, support. It's not easy.
How do you feel about that?
But still, I can see in one platform a lot of players. It's not even...
I cannot share the secret, Nabil.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Understandably, as Mr. Kim said, we are all here to make money. He's asking you to help him make money.
Can you help him make money,
Salim will
please?
support you in that, Nabil, don't worry.
Any more questions? There was a gentleman at the back there. Thank you.
Yeah, we've had a lot of conversation with regards to the technologies and things that people are bringing in, a lot of the technologies and processes that rental companies and manufacturers are implementing. I think one thing we don't recognise as an industry is that actually equipment rental is seen as a very insignificant part of the overall energy and process emissions of construction. If you read a lot of reports from the World Building Council, for example, or the European Energy Association, they do not recognise equipment supply or construction equipment as being an enabler to sustainable construction. What do you think are some of the barriers that we have as an industry that we need to overcome with those main contractors in order to put front and center the things that we can do in order to help sustainable construction and help achieve those government aims?
Thank you. What an interesting point. I don't know if anybody wants to take that up. But that is a challenge. You're saying that the industry can do more, but not necessarily is getting the recognition.
We've got technology coming through. We've got messaging with regards to maintenance schemes and things like that, as Rob quite rightly brought up. We've got the UN Sustainable Development Goals that we can help to achieve. At the minute, though, if you look at every single bit of research, empirical and anecdotal, we are not cited as being a part of the solution for construction. I think that's a big messaging issue we have.
As you mentioned, especially in this sector, as MEWPs, we are a low contributor to emissions because the way the equipment works, you go up to where you want to do the work, you switch off the engine. So it's, and you know, modern systems, they have the same system that you have in your car when you stop at the red lights, the engine cuts out. That's correct. However, all diesel, all internal combustion engines are in the sights of the legislators, and we get caught up with it. But yeah, rental is a part of the solution for certain. And also because rental companies generally take care of their equipment and maintain it, so it's not spewing out.
So this isn't a case of, so it's a case of, it's just a very small contributor. It's not a case of the fact it just hasn't been recorded properly, it's not being monitored properly, it's not being, it's not in the
I think the
carbon
reality
accounting.
is diesel engines are, and development of diesel engines is on the way out, unless they can find ways, and there are some signs that they can, of controlling the emissions.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, Joe has a real point here, is that rental companies can play an important role. As I mentioned, for example, now we have the electric construction machines, okay? So it's up to the rental company and also to the OEM how much they can support in this transition from a complete diesel machine to an electric machine that they can do the same job. For sure, now the investment is higher on the rental company, but are they going to get a higher rental rate on this machine? This is still a question.
I mean, this is passing the buck, isn't it? I mean, devil's advocate, is that passing the buck, Rob, or is that?
I'm not sure. I just wanted to say that 17 sustainability goals, right? If you look at it, and we've got to move the mindset away from, you know, for example, clean burning fuel and electric, right? If you want to contribute to sustainability, and rental companies have expert commercial selling teams, and we need to include that in our remit to bring industry awareness to the governments, to the contractors, to the construction organisations to say, look, we're doing well in this area. For example, quality in education and responsible consumption and production. They're two sustainability goals we also work with. It's not just about clean burning machines. That's the easy part, I think. It's about where else in the 17 sustainability goals can the organisation or rental company promote with government bodies and work with IPAF and other industries to promote this is what we're doing well with, you know, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, interesting when you mentioned there the dialogue as well. I think we're going to have to leave it there, but I think that was a fantastic conversation. Thank you, all of you. A round of applause to our panel, please. Thank you. And thank you for your questions, Paul. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you. Brilliant. Great. Thank you. At the front.
Thank you. Thank you so much indeed there, Stephen. Really appreciate excellent panel session. So we now take a deep dive into a very specialist sector that is utterly crucial for the maintenance of our buildings and businesses in the country. Ladies and gentlemen, we've assembled a team of experts that represent the very best in facilities management. Together, they will share their insights into best practice in the sectors and what they've learned when it comes to the all-important criteria for operating equipment and managing teams and expectations on site. Stephen, I warmly welcome you back up to the stage again. And please join us on stage, Darren Williams, Head of High-Level Access Emerald Services. Julian Halil, Senior Director Security and Soft Services, Farnec. And Stephanie Tanous, Project Lead, Graco. Thank you all very much indeed.